What's up guys, I'm Nico of CamCrunch, and recently a lot of you guys have been asking me what I use to film my videos, film these CamCrunch videos. So what I've decided to do was do sort of a mini series on what I do. So this will include what equipment I use, both cameras, lenses. I'm also going to have an episode on audio, so the equipment I use there and how I make that process a lot easier for me. I'm going to have an episode specifically for settings you want to use when you're using a DSLR for filming. And then I'm also going to have an episode on lighting. And lastly, I'm going to have an episode on the post-processing that I do to film these videos and make them, edit them, cut them up, and what that whole process is like. So in this video, this is the first video, so I thought I'd start it off with what lens and what camera I use. So the camera that I use is a Canon Rebel T3i, which is also known as the Canon 600D, I believe, in the international markets. And I chose this camera for several reasons. There are many other options out there, but there are a couple of reasons why I chose this. I actually bought this camera when the T5i was already out, which is 2 generations above it. But the reason why I chose this over even the newer T5i or something like the 60D is because this actually shares the same sensor as the T5i, but it's a lot cheaper. It does lack a few features that the T5i has, but it has a couple of features which I do need, and those are really the driving features behind these videos. And the first one is the flip out LCD screen. When you're making videos like this on your own and you're the only one producing them, you want to be able to have everything sort of in arm lengths away so that it becomes easier to manage. You don't forget things, you can check everything right on the spot. And having that flip out LCD screen is a great way to compose your image as well as plan your focus, make sure everything looks great. So that's why this LCD screen is great. You can get an external LCD monitor which you can attach to the top of your camera or set it on another side, but that's another extra couple of $100s for a good one. And that's really just adding another thing into the equation. So using this small screen that I have is perfect when you're working in close proximity to your camera. So as you can see, I'm basically touching the lens right now, and that's how close I am to the camera. And that's why this monitor, this LCD screen, is valuable to me. The second reason why I chose the T3i is because it has a mic input. You're going to want to have a camera with a mic input so that you can plug something like this into it. And I'll go into the actual audio equipment that I use in the next video, but basically I want to be able to send my audio straight into the camera, which according to some people isn't the best way to do it. You won't get the cleanest sound, but it cuts that step out of having to sync your audio and your video later on, which is good for when you're making a lot of videos and you want to have very smooth workflow. It's nice to have the audio go straight into the camera. So those are really the two main features that I use on this camera itself, and it's the reason why I use it over my older full-frame camera, the 5D Mark II, or even this newer 6D which I have here in the back. I'll probably keep using the Canon Rebel T3i for these features that it has over those cameras, even though the output in terms of video might be actually better in some of the other cameras out there. Of course, there are other cameras that you can use. You can start off with a nice point and shoot, which is something that I actually did in my older channel. You can use a smartphone camera like this, your iPhone, your Android phone, whatever it may be, as long as you get good lighting, which I will talk about in another video. So in terms of lenses, there are many different options you can use to get different looks. But for me specifically, I actually like using a wider angle lens. The lens that I'm using specifically is the Rokinon 14mm, which is on a crop sensor like this, it's around a 21 or 22 equivalent focal length in terms of 35mm format, which is fairly wide. It's not what you would call ultra wide, I guess, but it is a wide angle perspective. And again, I like this wide angle perspective because it helps me a lot doing these productions on my own. So again, I can reach the lens, I can focus it if I want to, I can reach the camera, press the play button, look at my audio, do everything straight from this camera, and a wide angle lens allows you to do that. Now the reason why I have the Rokinon 14mm lens is because it does not just work on crop sensor cameras like this T3i, it will actually work on my full frame camera. So I can basically pull this lens off and then attach it to my 6D and it's going to work just fine. If you're committed to the crop sensor like on a T3i or something like the 7D or the 70D or the Nikon versions of that or the other brands of that, then you might want to pick up a lens called the Tokina 11-16 f2.8, which is probably the best wide angle zoom lens that you can get for the APS-C size sensor. The reason why I didn't get that was, again, that lens does not work on full frame cameras fully like this one will. So because I'm using two different systems, this lens is better for me. But in general, that lens, the Tokina 11-16, will give you better images for, I think, $100 more than this lens. And it's a great lens. So that's something you want to look at. I'll leave the links to that down below, as well as the links to this down below as well. So that's it for the equipment that I use in terms of the camera and the lens. In the next video, I'm going to be going through the audio equipment that I use to make these videos happen. If you like this series or this video, make sure you subscribe, like the video, favorite the video, and the social networks will be down below so you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Instagram, and you can even visit the website if you want. Again, I'm Nick of CamCrunch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.